Roman Reigns has struggled over the last few weeks, even though he holds his own against single Sikoa. The numbers game evolved with, to him, should Sikoa not be sufficient for handling, by including Tatong and Jacob Fatu into the mix proved ineffective, hence the original. The tribal chief disappeared weeks ago, hence am obviously somewhat in need of allies, yet his demand for the same then seeks an atonement in the near future expense, a 10-time winner. Crucial title matches, the response aren't unambiguous yes or no. Nevertheless, it is a unique possibilities. Why good, given the 10-time? Under this situation, none else qualifies as champion than Juso, a guy who has over years claimed to have done all he could have. Given his family, that wouldn't be shocking. To see Roman Reigns seek for his family, this might enable him to get aid and result in surprising appearance on Raw where he might seek to meet the Major. However, this strategy is simpler stated than done, then carried out without the wise men. Peter, by his side, even Roman Reigns can create errors, and in this instance, the error consists of a poorly considered effort to assist JUSO in beating Braun Break for the Intercontinental Championship. Even with Reigns might visit to assist, Jay could notice things differently. After all else did not quite finish between them on excellent words. Jay puzzled as he saw Roman May attack him instead of welcoming him, that he is coming to cost him the match. Sadly, his behavior results in him to lose concentration. Let's break through. So avoid the 10-time cycle by capitalizing champion in tag teams from grabbing his first singles championship. It would be quite the narrative, yet for now it still stays nothing more than conjecture based on observations by WWE analyst Roman Reigns will return to SmackDown in stunning fashion. A possible look on Raw to call Juso aside. Roman Reigns have to return to SmackDown must. First, the last time he was spotted on the Blue Company one saw him leave the stadium, wounded after his solo Sikoa laying down. Furthermore, given the situation his bloodline provided, returns seem natural as he seeks to accurate his retribution, and should a WWE analyst have his way, it may start as early as next week. Sam Roberts from the Not Sam Wrestling, the podcast, thinks Reigns could come back next week on SmackDown. For people devoid of memory alone, Sikoa is supposed to meet Cody Rhodes following week within a steel cage with the undisputable WWE Championship on the. Now, since this is Sikoa we are discussing, the lineage is definitely likely to discover a means inside to assist their tribe. Mainly, this is where the original tribe chief arrives, having eaten American cuisine. Nightmare much too common to everybody. Of course, there is surprising lack of knowledge. If Robert's forecasts turn out to be pass, we all just have to wait and see what falls next week. However, there is not debatable that it would be very anything Roman Reigns saw behind scenes closely at the display as the WWE Universe rumbled in anticipation of the major occasion the tribal chief had attended, missing from the limelight for a few weeks, stepping back to allow his body recoup and reconsider tactics with the bloodline imploding all around him. But this was not like other nights. Roman was aware the scope of what was about to occur, a championship game with potential for modified the whole scenery of WWE positioned in the ring ready. 10 times champion Randy Glory Orton has been rifle hunting for his 11th World Championship, an amazing accomplishment that would confirm his status as among the best of all times. His opponent Seth, one of the current champions, Rollins, is among the few guys who could equal Orton's ring. Roman's ideas lacked any mention of caught mired in this competitiveness, but sometimes fate finds a means to compel items upon you. Roman had experienced the pressure developing from all directions. He hadn't participated in a significant event. Plot since the holes in the lineage appeared, but this match was different. He understood that if only Orton, Brandi, left as champion, his own standing would be in jeopardy. Orton lacked merely any rival. He was a deliberate target. Predator with the support of supporters, heroes, and even some higher authorities. Backstage, Roman had to pretend as Orton. Rollins locked off in a fantastic exchange. Roman paced the technical wrestling area. Hall pass. Backstage, he knew if Orton won, the terrain would change drastically with possible allies picking Orton over him. Roman couldn't afford that kind of strategy or Plan D. Paul Heyman inquired warily from Roman's side view with worried eyes. Roman tightened his teeth. He wanted not to meddle in this contest, nodded directly. That wasn't his way of thinking anymore, but seeing Orton unleash a thundering power slam directed at Rollins, followed by Hangman's DDT, Roman sensed his determination. Roman mumbled a sign indicating a sliding plan to Heyman, who shot off to set everything in motion, the developing anarchy. In the ring, the bout was approaching its ending. Orton struck first and had the upper hand. Rollins with precisely timed RKO. The audience burst, realizing that if Orton went for the cover, it was likely all over. The referee slid into position, but before his hand could hit the mat for the 3 count, the lights flickered. The crowd gasped. Suddenly, Roman's music blared through the arena, and the familiar sight of the tribal chief walking down the ramp sent shock waves through the audience. Orton stood up, his face contorted in a mix of anger, confusion. Why was Roman here? This was his moment, his chance to etch his name and history one more time. Roman moved slowly, his eyes locked on Orton. He wasn't there to attack him, not directly, but the message was clear. Roman wanted to remind Orton who truly ran the show. In WWE, the distraction was enough. Seth Rollins never want to waste an opportunity, capitalized on Orton's momentary lapse in focus. As Orton turned back around, Rollins caught him with a stomp. The impact sent shock waves through the arena as Orton's head slammed into the mat. Rollins quickly covered Orton. The referee counting to 3. The bell rang. Rollins retained his title. Orton lay motionless, barely processing what had just happened. Roman stood at ringside, stoic, his expression unreadable as the boos rained down from the crowd. He hadn't physically interfered, but his presence had been enough to cost Orton the match. Fallout in the plan to make amends. Backstage, Roman sat in his private locker room, leaning forward, his hands clasped together as he thought about what had just transpired. The intention had been to send a message to Orton and the WWE Universe not to cost him the match, but the execution had been imperfect, and now Roman found himself in an even worse position. Paul Heyman burst into the room. Frantic. Roman, you have to address this. Randy Orton's furious, and the fans. Roman cut him off. I'll deal with it. He wasn't wrong. Orton was beyond livid already, giving interviews about how Roman had cost him his shot at making history. The WWE Universe was in an uproar, calling out Roman for once again inserting himself into a narrative that wasn't his. Roman couldn't let this spiral any further. That's when the idea hit him. He'd make amends by offering Orton chance at redemption. Roman would personally guarantee that Orton got another shot at the title, a clean shot. No interference, no distractions. Roman would even step in Orton's corner if needed, but Roman had underestimated the depth of Orton's anger when he approached Orton backstage, extending an olive branch. Orton wasn't interested. You think I need your help? Orton spat, his voice dripping with venom. You think I want anything from you? After what you did, you cost me everything. Roman held his ground, trying to reason with him. I didn't mean for it to go down like that. Randy, let me make it right. But Orton was having none of it. He shoved Roman back, the tension thick between them. You want to make it right? Stay the hell out of my business. I don't need the help of a guy who can't even control his own family. The jab hit harder than Roman expected. Orton was referring to the bloodline's recent implosion, a sore spot for Roman. The tribal chief's eyes flared with anger, but he kept his composure. This isn't about family, Roman growled. This is about business. You want your title shot? You'll take my help or you'll get buried. Orton narrowed his eyes, his mind whirling with rage. I'd rather burn this whole place to the ground than let you be part of my success. Roman's plans to make amends were falling apart faster than he anticipated. As he walked away from the confrontation, his thoughts shifted from making peace to preparing for war. If Orton didn't want his help, then maybe Roman would have to crush the Viper once and for all. What Roman didn't realize was that his attempt to fix things had not only backfired, but ignited a new rivalry, one that could spell disaster for both of their futures. The tribal chief's quest for redemption had now turned into a battle for survival. Orton moved for the cover, probably all over. The referee slipped into position, but before his hand could touch the mat for the 3 counts, the lights blitzed. The audience gasped abruptly. Roman's music blared across the arena, and the familiar view of the tribal chief strolling down the ramp caused shock waves to pass over the audience. Orton got up, his face twisted in a concoction of wrath. And why was Roman here? This was his moment when he could write his name, and once again in history, one Roman relocated. His eyes slowly caught on Orton. He wasn't there to assault him straightforwardly. Still, the message was really apparent. Roman asked to remind Orton who really ran the program within WWE. Served as enough diversion for Seth. Rollins never wants to throw away an potential seized on Orton's brief gap of attention. When Orton went back around, Rollins grabbed him with a stomp. The impact delivered. Shock waves traversed the arena as Orton's head crashed on the mat. Rollins hurriedly covered Orton. The referee bell rang, counting to 3. Still holding his championship, Rollins Orton laid out, still not understanding what had happened. Just occurred. Roman stood at ringside, stoic, his look incomprehensible as the alcohol poured from the assembly he was seeing had not physically intervened yet. His presence had been sufficient to cost Orton the fallout match scheduled to make adjusts backstage. Roman, perched in his personal locker room, slanted forward, his hands gathered together as he considered about what had just happened. The intended was to message to Orton in the WWE Universe, not costing him the match, but the execution had been inadequate, and today Roman discovered he was in much more terrible shape. Location: Paul Heyman broke into the room. Frantic: Roman, you have to handle this. Furious by Randy Orton and Roman fans. Isolate him from I will address it. He wasn't incorrect. Orton was beyond enraged already. Conducting interviews about Roman's experiences with cost him his chance to record history.